Greetings from Utah, the Beehive State, which became the 45th state to enter the Union on January 4th, 1896. Utah's 2.5 million residents make it the 34th most populous state. For many people, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir is the face of Utah, having performed at the inaugurations of 5 U.S. presidents. For generations, Mormons have drawn spiritual sustenance from this heavenly body.
Religion is the focal point. It's the center of our lives here in Utah.
A lot of people believe in the same values here, and they hold together and treat each other that way, and it makes for a very good feeling in the state.
Temple Square in downtown Salt Lake City is the headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Despite the church's efforts to distance itself from forbidden practices, many outsiders have a single lingering impression of Mormonism.
You know, we're surrounded by Mormons, and that we have 8 wives or something like that. It's not true. I only have 7. But we do not practice polygamy. I mean, there are some people that call themselves Mormons in Utah that do practice that and break the law, but they're not Mormons.
The original Mormon pioneers were, in fact, polygamists. The practice was often scorned, and the sect began a westward migration to avoid persecution. The church's founder, Joseph Smith, was murdered in Illinois in 1844, and his followers looked to a new leader, Brigham Young, for direction. His mission was to lead the Mormons away from persecution and into the Promised Land.
That he brings to what was then Mexican territory. So the war with Mexico is going on at this point, and the Mormons are fleeing the United States. And some of them even expressed in journals and diaries a hope that Mexico would win and sort of punish the United States for what they had done to the Mormons.
Today, Utah is a society very much in flux as more non-Mormons come to live here and take advantage of the wondrous landscape. Utah's coming out party was the 2002 Winter Olympics.
Skiing in Utah is outstanding because we do have a drier climate, therefore it makes lighter snow. In Utah, we do have the greatest snow on Earth.
The description of the state of Utah really depends on altitude. As you fall below 5,000 feet, you're in desert. As you rise above 7,000 feet, you're in alpine highland mountain with streams and everything is green and lush. For me, it's solitude and altitude, and Utah's got plenty of it.
Utah has 5 national parks. Bryce Canyon is famous for its colorful limestone rock. Here, erosional forces have created a fantasy land of bizarre shapes and spires called hoodoos. In southwestern Utah, Zion National Park is characterized by formidable plateaus, deep canyons, and striking rock towers. The fishing in Utah is also great. Just don't cast your line in the Great Salt Lake.
There aren't any fish in it, of course. It's way too salty for that.
The Great Salt Lake is so salty because it has no natural outlets. Tributaries bring waterborne salt into the lake. When much of that water evaporates, it leaves behind a copious amount of salt. It is around the Great Salt Lake where the first Mormon pioneers made their homes. In 2006, approximately 62% of Utahns considered themselves to be Mormons, which represented 12.5% of Mormons worldwide. Few, however, would have predicted such a wide acceptance back in 1857. Utah wanted statehood, but its attempts to join the Union were rebuffed time and again.
Once Mormons arrived here in Utah, they did petition for statehood. The obstacles to Utah becoming a state centered on the practice of polygamy by Mormons, the concern that Utah was really a theocracy, that the church really governed in Utah, that there was no democracy here. Several thousand federal troops were sent to Utah to put down an alleged Mormon rebellion. Brigham Young and Mormons were determined to keep them out. The militia was mobilized, fortifications were built.
Brigham Young and other Mormon leaders believed they were being subjected to religious persecution. Yet the Utah War, as it came to be known, involved little bloodshed until September 11, 1857. That day, a Mormon militia opened fire on a wagon train of Arkansas farming families traveling through the territory to California.
You have overzealous Mormons in southern Utah who simply join with their southern Paiute allies and massacre the Baker Fancher Party. 120 men, women, and children. Only 17 of the youngest children are kept alive by the Mormons.
And certainly there are some who have concluded that Brigham Young was the mastermind behind the massacre.
Some believe that religious fervor brought on the attack. Others contend it was pure greed. The wagon train was rich, with a herd of livestock and a ready supply of cash. Whatever the motivation, Utah remained a territory until 1896. Statehood was finally granted after the church officially denounced polygamy. Some 20 years later, the Great Salt Flats of Utah became the home of the Bonneville Speedway, the fastest automobile speed site in the world. But things didn't really heat up until the 1930s.
Especially from about 35 through 39. Things were really active on the Salt Flats. Lots and lots of records being set and broken.
In an era of record setters, few could match the achievements of famed Mormon race car driver Ab Jenkins and his Duesenberg Special, dubbed the Mormon Meteor.
After a while, these world records get so high that it seems nobody's ever going to break them. But they're crashing fast right now. That car is headed for victory.
The triumph of design, materials, and construction was captured in this 1935 film, as Jenkins and his team challenged the Salt Flats in a thrilling 24-hour speed and endurance test. Ab Jenkins became so popular with the public that he was elected mayor of Salt Lake City in 1939.
Congratulations, Ab.
In the modern era of Bonneville, you can see every conceivable kind of race car and motorcycle. They're all here to push the speed envelope, from rusty roadsters to cutting-edge carbon fiber streamliners.
Look here, I'm talking about America, sweet America.